Hey everybody, welcome back to On Stage, Off Stage. I'm your host, George Sapio, and this is episode number 182, October of 2024. Our guest this month, Mark Harvey Levine, is well known throughout the theater world, having had over 2,100 productions of his short plays everywhere from Bangalore to Bucharest and from Seoul to Sao Paulo. His plays have won over 45 awards, have been produced in more than 10 languages, and have been published in over 24 anthologies. His comedy, Shakespeare Lives, is one of our two selections for our scary-themed October slots. We will, as always, be featuring an interview with the playwright immediately following the play, so hey, don't go nowheres. Shakespeare Lives by Mark Harvey Levine, with Christopher Plumridge as the guard, A.J. Dean as Cassio, and Carrie Frater as William Shakespeare. Early morning, a small cemetery behind the Church of the Holy Trinity in Stratford-on-Avon. We hear the voice of the guard.
Who's there?
Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself.
Very funny, fanboy. The cemetery's not open yet. You're gonna have to leave.
And if I don't?
I'll hit you with this racket.
A tennis racket.
We're not allowed to carry guns.
Why not?
Too many depressed playwrights.
Depressed playwrights?
They were coming here to get shot and die on Shakespeare's grave.
So now you all carry tennis rackets?
No, we're allowed any sports equipment. Rackets, paddles, cribbage boards, that sort of thing.
And this is supposed to strike fear in my heart?
I've got a vicious backhand. Sweet mother of God, what's that?
What's what?
That huge pile of junk on Shakespeare's grave.
Oh, that?
It looks like pieces of a car. Pieces of an entire car.
Huh.
Why would someone dismantle a car and place it on Shakespeare's grave?
Search me.
And so I shall. What's that? Behind your back.
Where? Oh, this. This?
Yes.
It's a souvenir.
A steering wheel.
I bought it in the gift shop.
You put that there.
Why would I dismantle a perfectly good Volkswagen Jetta and place it on Shakespeare's grave?
Aha! How do you know it was a Jetta?
Damn your British intelligence. All right, fine. That's my car. And there. That's the last of it.
Why in God's name did you dismantle a car on Shakespeare's grave?
It's a sacrifice to the Dark Lords, to bring Shakespeare alive again.
No, really.
Really?
With a Jetta.
The book said it had to be my most prized possession.
Book?
Raising the Dead for Dummies.
Oh, but a Jetta?
It was the GLX with halogen fog lamps.
Hatchback?
Sedan.
Did you hear that?
It's probably my stomach. I'm starving. I've been dismantling a Jetta all night. The only thing I've had for the last 8 hours are some French fries I found when I tore out the seats.
Look, they're not even sure this is where Shakespeare is buried. They just put that stone there for the tourists. For all we know, he could be way over there.
He sees Zombie Will.
Ah! Shakespeare Lives!
Is it him?
Excuse me, I haven't spoken in like 400 years.
Mr. Shakespeare?
Oh, call me Will.
You did it!
How do you feel?
Well, a little groggy, a little stiff, and I have a strange craving for human brains.
Well, that's to be expected.
For God's sake, man, put a stop to this. You're playing with the laws of nature. And theatre.
No, I've come too far. Look at him. He's beautiful. He's the answer to my prayers. And I brought him back to life. Well, life may be stretching it a bit.
What do you mean?
Well, you're a zombie.
A zombie?
I raised you from the grave so you could help me. You're, undead.
Right. Fair enough. What can I do you for?
You must help me win back my beloved.
Your beloved?
You raised Shakespeare from the grave so you could win back a girl.
She's a very special girl.
Have you tried sending her a blinking bouquet of flowers?
I tried everything. Flowers, chocolates, shoes. I bought her shoes. Look, I brought them in my pocket.
'Twould be a small feat to fill those shoes. You get it? Get it? Small feat? Oh, 400 years later, I still have it.
Your beloved is a doll.
You betcha.
I mean, she's a real doll.
She's an absolute doll.
His lady is a plaything?
Nay, nay. She means more to me than that. She's everything to me.
Let me put it this way. Does she have Mattel or Hasbro anywhere on her?
Lots of girls have tattoos.
You're off your nut.
Sure, I'm a little crazy. You'd be too. She's been so cold to me lately. When I'm with her, she gets that glassy, faraway look in her eyes.
Oh, insanity, a distant lover, a forbidden romance. Oh, we may have something here.
Can you help me? Can you write me a poem or something? I think if I brought her a sonnet written by real live William Shakespeare, well, maybe live is too strong a word.
A sonnet for your lady. Oh, child's play. Huh? Child's play? Oh, I got a million of them. Okay, what's her name?
My talking Wendy.
Dolls that talk? Oh, brave new world, that...
Yeah, dolls talk now. You pull a string.
Oh, what does she say?
Nothing. She isn't speaking to me anymore. She just wets.
Wets.
She wets. Hey, everybody's got something, okay? She has a bladder control problem. I have excessive earwax.
I'm undead.
Right, everyone has something. I love her anyway.
Ah, the course of true love did never run smooth.
Exactly. Oh, that's good.
On the other hand, for this, you wake me up from my eternal sleep.
Well, I was desperate.
For this, you have brought me back from that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns. Well, unless, of course, you count me.
Yeah, kind of.
I ought to eat your brains for this. In fact, I think I will. I will? You get it? Oh, it's wasted on you.
Ah!
I told you something like this would happen.
Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt in my mouth and not in my hands.
Hey, stop that! Help me! He's trying to eat my brain.
It won't be very fitting.
He's got the strength of 10 Shakespeares, plus 2. Finally, off of me.
Uh-oh.
Ding dong, Bard of Avon calling.
Stay back now.
Thou shalt feast me with thy very name of meat.
What's that from?
Taming of the Shrew, Act 4.
Funny. Didn't sound shrewish. Get off me! Here, eat tennis racket.
Oh, nice backhand.
Told you. Quick, grab the other racket.
Back to me, will you?
True men yield with Robert so o'ermatched. Get it? Tennis match?
And now to run you through with the handle. And that's game.
I die. I sink. In me there is not half an hour of life left.
You killed him.
Technically, he was already dead.
I bleed. I die. Flights of angels sing me to my rest.
How long is this going to go on?
Could be hours. Did you see Othello?
I will play the swan and die in music. Willow, willow, willow. Get it? Willow, willow. Nothing. Oh, wake me up in another 400 years.
Dead. Again. Now I'll never get Wendy back. My Wendy. My talking Wendy.
Listen, you don't need Shakespeare. You know what women really like? When you speak to them in French.
French?
Drives them crazy.
But I don't speak French.
Well, maybe you don't, but...
Molière.
Shakespeare Lives by Mark Harvey Levine, with Christopher Plumridge as the guard, A.J. Dean as Cassio, and Kerry Frater as William Shakespeare. Mark was kind enough to stop by and talk with us about this wonderful play and also about his many adventures in playwriting. Shakespeare Lives. As soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to do this. This just looked like so much fun for three actors to just have a ball with. Have you written about Shakespeare before?
No, I hadn't.
So this is your one and only venture into the world of Shakespeare?
I've just written a new full length called Save Hamlet, which is a parody of the actual Hamlet, which I thought wasn't really that funny and definitely needed to have the jokes punched up a little more.
It definitely needed a few more jokes, I thought. That's 5 acts of just,
Yeah, people killing each other.
That's, well, I mean, that always sells, but hey.
Yeah, right.
You could squeeze that down into 2 acts and just make it a lovely night in front of the TV.
Exactly.
So
I try to make it a little funnier.
Good. How does one go about saving Hamlet?
I realized that the guys were basically just running around with swords and stabbing each other. So if anyone's going to do it, it would have to be the girls. But there aren't a lot of girls in Hamlet. You know, there's only Ophelia and Gertrude.
Right.
So I feel like we needed a few more girls. And so in my play, Bernardo and Francisco, who really don't have that big of a part, and Marcellus, Horatio, all turn out to be women in disguise.
I love it.
They team up with Ophelia, who's already a woman, and they hatch a plan to save Hamlet.
Wonderful. So this is sort of like, if you'll excuse the pun, dragging Hamlet through the... I love the idea. There have been, of course, like lots and lots of plays done about Shakespeare, and especially Hamlet. It seems to be, if there was an interweb of theater plays, I'm sure Shakespeare and Hamlet would probably be at the very center of it.
Yes. But also, like, one of my playwriting heroes is Tom Stoppard.
Oh, mine too. Oh, nice. Yes.
And, you know, one of his very early plays, if not his first play, was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So I thought, if he started with a variation on Hamlet, maybe I should start that way too.
I love that play. Absolutely love it.
And if it was good enough for Tom, it's good enough for me.
Stoppard is one of the most amazing. He opened up so much for me as far as what you can and cannot do. And it seems like there's almost nothing you cannot do if you read Stoppard.
Yeah, really. That's very true.
Definitely swinging for the fences there. Let's get back to Shakespeare Lives. What brought this one about?
Well, this one, interestingly enough, started from, I did one of those write a play in 24 hours. I think this one was 48 hours.
Gotcha.
We had 48 hours to write a play, and I was given certain props. So I was given a steering wheel and a tennis racket.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask you about those, but now you've just answered that. Okay.
Right, and doll shoes. Right, those are my 3 props: steering wheel, tennis racket, and doll shoes. And I thought, what can I do with those? And 3 actors. I had 3 actors, 3 male actors.
Yeah.
So I did always want to write about, you know, bringing Shakespeare back. So I thought, you know, maybe a guy just tries to bring Shakespeare back to win the girl.
Why not?
And maybe the girl is really small.
Hey, love strikes in the strangest of places, doesn't it?
It does, yes.
Yeah. I was wondering how the steering wheel and the doll shoes, and especially the tennis racket, because obviously they will let you have guns, but they'll let you have sporting equipment. It's a strange world that we live in.
I was proud that I was able to come up with that idea in a mere 24 hours.
That's tough doing that.
Yeah.
Have you done those a lot?
I have, and about 50% of them have resulted in like plays that I can send out again, and 50% result in plays that like you never ever want to see the light of day ever again.
Yeah, I've got a drawer full of those too. I've done the 48-hour thing. No, I've done the 24-hour thing. That's what it was. And I remember
that's even harder.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love writing. I'd rather be lighting or in a rehearsal room, you know, rather than anywhere else. But having to do that, to pull up 10 minutes of credible theater in one night is Oof, that was rough. I made myself a director for the next 2 annual shows. That was much easier. Yeah.
And it's hard for the actors too. They got to memorize a whole 10-minute play in 12 hours.
And the one thing you should never do is put in monologues.
Yes, I learned that.
Oh,
Although I
my
did
goodness.
want a 24-hour play where I put in a tap dance number.
Wow.
But
Okay.
fortunately, I was like, when I was getting this set up, I was given 6 actors, which, as you know, is like really hard.
Yes.
It's hard even like if you have a lot of time to like manage 6 characters on stage. And I had 12 hours. So I grabbed all the actors and said, what can you do? And 5 of them said they could tap dance. And I grabbed the last guy. I said, can you fake it? And he was like, yes.
That must have been a beautiful visual on stage.
It was. I mean, nobody expected in a 24-hour play festival to have like a tap dance number at the end.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was one of the keepers. This was one of the, I of course rewrote it a little bit after I had some sleep and a couple decent cups of coffee.
Oh my God, what did I do here? Oh, this isn't too bad. This looks good.
Right,
Yay! How many short plays do you have? How many 10-minute plays do you have?
I haven't actually counted them, but
Okay.
I would say probably somewhere along the lines of 75.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere in there.
And out of those 75 plays, this is from reading from your website, over 2,100 productions.
Yes.
All right. From Bangalore to Bucharest and from Seoul to Sao Paulo. Now, I've got questions. The first of all being, how do you get produced in Bucharest?
That I just got contacted this lovely producer in Bucharest found my plays in a book. A lot of it is getting published in those anthologies, like Smith and Krauss has those 10-minute play anthologies. And so, I've got a bunch of my plays in those anthologies. And I guess a lady in Bucharest who fortunately speaks English found me and contacted me and said, we'd like to do your play. And me being no fool said, well, if you like that, I have a whole bunch of others. So I send them more plays, and then next thing you know, you're in Bucharest.
Have they produced more than one of yours, or?
They've produced like 3 or 4.
That's amazing. That's really well done. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. You've been produced in more than 10 languages, and you've been in over 24 anthologies. That's quite how many years have you been doing this?
I have been doing it for like 21 years now.
That's quite a record of success. I mean, that's definitely out of the ordinary to have that much on your resume. You must have like a 20-page resume. What do you like writing better, comedies or dramas? Or do you have a preference?
Definitely comedies. No, I do have a preference. I like comedies because like when you're writing them and then you can you have a reading, you can tell if they're working or not. Are people laughing? I mean, it's a real simple equation,
Yeah.
Did anybody laugh? Great, it's working. Or is nobody laughing? You need to work on it a little more. So with dramas, like they scare me because I can't tell, like, is this thing working? I mean, what do you listen for? Like, do they get really quiet? Do they get more quiet? Then, it's just like, you really have to sort of trust yourself.
Comedy I've always found hard because I've got this Borscht Belt kind of slapstick sense of humor, and no joke is too low, no pun is too egregious. Yet I find comedy to be the ultimate tricky operation to manage successfully. It's so easy to overdo, and it's so easy to go wide of the mark sometimes.
Yeah, although, I have the same sensibility you do. I love, bad puns and slapstick. That full-length Safe Hamlet is full of like physical comedy and people hitting each other over the head.
And your Shakespeare Lives. I mean, he's
got lots of slapstick.
He does.
And you got a zombie on stage. I mean, I just find like, I try to look at what makes me laugh and replicate that.
Still, it's tough. Personally, I find writing dramas easier because my mind definitely goes towards that melancholic bent sometimes when I'm writing, but I try and throw in a couple of small things you really shouldn't be laughing at. But outright comedy, I mean, stuff like the play that goes wrong or noise is off or that sort of stuff. I have no idea how things like that are created. I have ultimate respect for folks who can handle at least broad comedy.
One of my other favorite playwrights is Alan Ayckbourn.
Yep.
And he's a master. I mean, he wrote, have you heard of the Norman Conquests?
I have heard of, don't know the text.
Well, it's 3 comedies, practically farces,
Okay.
but they're comedies. They're 3 full-length plays that take place over the same weekend, one in the same house. One takes place in the living room, one takes place in the kitchen, and one takes place like outside in what they call the garden, what we call the backyard.
Yeah.
And they're intertwined. So when one person leaves from the living room into the kitchen, he exits into the kitchen in the living room play, he enters into the kitchen in the kitchen play. When somebody
right.
leaves from the kitchen and goes out back, then they enter in the backyard play. And when somebody mistakenly learns a piece of information in one play, they end up thinking that in the backyard play. I mean, it's you could literally do all 3 plays simultaneously.
Yeah.
Like, how do you come up with that? Like, how many 3x5 cards did he use to work all that out? And each play works by itself too, and they're brilliant.
How did you get started writing plays? I mean, you could have done anything. You could have written poetry. You could have, I don't know, you worked for NASA or something like that.
Right.
But you started as you're a writer, which is tough enough as in the first place. But theater?
Yeah, I started out because I was an actor, and I joined a theater company in Los Angeles. This is when I was living in Los Angeles, called Theater Neo. They're now called Neo Ensemble Theater. They were famous for doing short play evenings. They like, that was their thing. So when I joined, they were starting up their next evening of short plays, and I auditioned as an actor. And I did not get in. But they had a rule. A lot of their plays were written by members of the company.
Okay.
And they had this rule: if you wrote the play, you could cast yourself. So I'm
There
no
you
idiot.
go.
Okay, I'll get myself on stage this way. It's 10 minutes. How hard can it be?
Oh yeah, piece of cake. Anybody can
Right.
do it.
So I wrote my first 10-minute play, and they accepted it. In fact, it was lovely. When they were reviewing the plays, they would get the whole company together, and all the members would like read their own plays with actors, just like a sit down reading.
Yeah.
And then the whole company would vote on whether to pick this play or that play. I think my play was one of the few that ever got like a unanimous yes.
Nice.
So I
First
was
time
very
out of the
proud of
blocks.
that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so they picked my play, and of course I cast myself because I'm
Of
no
course.
fool.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience actually as a playwright, because here I was being an actor and rehearsing my play, and I'm going like, oh my God, I'm talking so much. I'm still talking. Why am I still talking? The audience gets it. Well, I'm still talking. So I would like be in rehearsal in my own play and then go home at night and cut so many of my lines, because I
Sure.
realized, like, the actor me suddenly realized that you don't need to say that much.
Do you revise a lot? Do you put your plays through developments, workshops, that sort of thing? I mean, one of them are
Well,
10-minute plays, so it's
yeah, they don't really have like a lot of workshops or 10-minute plays, but I do
right.
revise. I go through and cut, because I sort of tend to start by overwriting, and then I winnow it down to like, I keep cutting until it's like only the things that are absolutely necessary for the plot or for the joke or whatever. I've trained myself, if it's just a standalone joke and it doesn't further the plot at all, it has to go. So
Yeah.
I've had to break my own heart sometimes by really, cutting some really great jokes, because it's just chatting. It's it's not furthering the plot. So I learned a lot from my experience as being an actor in my own plays,
Yeah.
and being able to make myself objective and going, holy cow, I'm talking a lot.
Teaches you a lot about writing, having to actually do the words that you've already written.
And then sometimes it takes a production.
Yeah.
I try to either be at the first production or at least watch it on video, when you see, what's really working, what's getting laughs, where the audience gets quiet, and in a comedy, you don't want the audience to be quiet. But sometimes it's like, it's a remarkable thing. Like, you don't know what's going to get a laugh. Like, I wrote just a 1-minute play. Have you ever heard of GI-60?
Oh yeah, sure, been in it.
I wrote a play for GI-60, and it had a great last line. I thought it was really killer. It was a nice button. It was going to get a huge laugh. And nobody heard my last line, because the line before it got a really nice laugh. So everyone was laughing at my second to last line, and they didn't hear my last line that I thought was so brilliant. So I cut it. I cut that last line that I thought was brilliant, because I didn't care. There was a big laugh on the second
Yeah.
to last line. That's all I wanted. I wanted a big laugh.
No.
Nice
You got to finish on a big laugh. That's perfect. Speaking of laughs, you mentioned you used to be a stand-up comedian.
Yes, for many years.
Yeah, and honestly, to get up in front of a group of people, some of whom are inebriated, and It's tough. It's one of the hardest things a person can put themselves up to do. What was that like?
It was really hard. Like when it worked, when you were on fire, it was great.
Yeah.
There's no other feeling. I mean, I know some comedians describe it like a drug. I'm sure it is
Hmm.
very much. There's nothing like doing a really great set and coming off, and there's nothing worse than bombing on stage in front of everybody.
Oh my
So
gosh, yeah.
it's like that feeling of danger where you go out there and it's just you. You're all alone, you and a microphone, and you have to win them over. I love that sort of danger feeling. What I didn't like, and this will sort of date me, but when I was doing it in clubs and everybody was smoking because in those days
Yeah.
you could smoke in a club. And I'm not only is smoking bad for you, but it's really bad for me because I'm actually allergic to cigarette smoke. So I would come home feeling sick and my entire
Mm.
body would be covered in cigarette smoke and I'd have to like, take a shower and burn my clothes. But also I did think that like it's so ephemeral. I mean, nowadays there's, videos of stand-up comedians and you see the little clips of them all over the place. But
Yes.
again, this was
Yeah.
in the old days. So I thought, I'm going to tell a joke and it's great. And then it's off into the air and like it'll never get remembered anywhere. Whereas playwriting, it's down there on paper and it can be in a book and people can read it hundreds of years from now when I'm
Yeah.
dead. I kind of like that better. I used to structure my first joke where I would come on and say something that wasn't funny, and you could see the entire audience go, "Oh God, we're going to sit through 10 minutes of this. Oh God, God."
Checking
And
watches. Yeah.
the thing I said was just a setup for the next line, which was the punchline, which hopefully was funny. And usually, not only would they laugh, but you would see everybody relax, like, "Oh my god, okay, he's kind of funny at least. We're not gonna have to sit through 10 minutes of somebody who's like totally not funny at all." And I remember I thought that's a brilliant thing to do to like dash their hopes and then relieve them again, and everybody would just like relax. And if I did get a laugh on my punchline, then they'd be with me the whole time.
Have you written any plays about stand-up comedians?
I haven't. It's funny because I've seen like usually movies about stand-up comedians,
Right.
and the problem with that is when you see them do their comedy, it's never funny, and I'm not entirely sure why that is, but
Hmm.
it's never funny to actually see them do their stand-up because the private lives of stand-up comedians was funny. I mean, frankly, some of the best comedy I've ever witnessed to has not been on stage, either in stand-up or in plays, but in the diner afterwards, after we've all done our comedy and we
Yeah.
all go to a diner and it's a bunch of comedians trying to make each other laugh. And then, and some of that has been really, really funny. So, I'd love to write a play about that if I could. But yeah, no, I've never written a play about stand-up.
Knowing you, there's probably one or two in the future. Mark Harvey Levine, this has been really, really fun talking to you for finally getting around to actually meeting you. I've been seeing your name all over the
Yes.
place for many years now, and I do love your work. I've read dozens of your plays, and you are a craftsman, sir.
Thank you. Same here. Same here. I've definitely seen your name a million times, usually in festivals where we're being produced together, which is always nice.
We get lucky sometimes. And thank you so much for Shakespeare Lives. That was that was so much fun putting together. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Hey kids, thanks for listening to On Stage, Off Stage. On Stage, Off Stage is produced monthly, and all of our shows can be found at onstageoffstage.org and also on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts. If you enjoy what we do, please recommend us to your friends. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at OnOffStage. And if you are a theater artist with an upcoming project or interest, or know of someone in the theater world who'd make good chat, by all means, send us a note at onstageoffstagepodcast@gmail.com. Our theme music is Don't Worry, Be Frappy by the composer Max Dickinson. You can find a lot more of Max's magnificent music on SoundCloud. I'm George Sapio. Thanks once again for listening, and please be kind to those with whom we share this rock. And as always, happy theatering to all of you.